Hi. Where do you want me to go?
When political tides shift, some leaders bend, others push back harder. Danielle Smith isn't just defending Alberta, she's demanding that Ottawa remember who it really serves. In the face of a new Prime Minister eager to centralize power, Smith's response has been clear. Alberta won't be sidelined, and neither will the Canadians who feel forgotten. Fierce, unapologetic, and impossible to ignore, Smith's message to Mark Carney is loud and direct. Lead for all Canadians, or prepare to be challenged at every turn. These next clips show exactly why she's become one of the most talked about leaders in the country. Enjoy the moments, and thank you for being here with us at Canada Connect. Your support helps keep these conversations alive.
But also as a safety issue, Mr. Speaker. We just saw what happened in Spain and Portugal when the power went out 3 days ago. That is the kind of thing that we want to avoid here. That is the kind of thing the federal government should not be interfering with. And I would invite the members opposite to actually stand with us in fighting the federal government to get our jurisdiction back.
The purpose of a referendum is to let every single Albertan have a say on matters of important public policy. Every other decision we make is a delegated decision to a member of the Legislative Assembly.
Inspired extremist ideology, she is taking down her own province.
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support Canada. I would like the Prime Minister to stand up and say that he supports Alberta and is on Team Alberta. And I'd like actually the members opposite to do the same. Why? And every opportunity they have to offer defense, they never stand up for Canada. They are constantly standing up for what was the Liberal NDP coalition and the damaging policies that have crushed our economy, chased away investment. Mr. Speaker, I am proudly, and my caucus are proudly Canadian. But we also want to make sure that the Constitution is honoured and the federal government respects our Constitution.
And I am now off to the U.S. yet again to try and speak to Americans, this time through the second largest podcaster in the world, whose audience is made up of exactly the people we need to persuade to convince their president to change course on tariffs against Canada. And what does Team Carney want me to do? They want me to abandon my post, remain in Alberta, and do absolutely nothing to defend our province. They want me to cower in the face of Eastern media pundits and politicians who favor political grandstanding to effective diplomacy. I'm fiercely criticized for going into the lion's den to change the hearts and minds of the very Americans that we need on Canada's side to avoid a trade war with the most powerful economy on earth. They want this lady and Alberta to just sit down and shut up. Well, here is my response to that. I will not be silent. Alberta will not be silent. We will not be pushed around and called traitors for merely having the courage to actually do something about our nation's and province's predicament other than merely indulging in self-righteous tantrums. And I, for one, will never be silenced by the party in Ottawa that has sold out our beloved province for the last 10 years with the help of their NDP collaborators.
And we're going to send Danielle next. Maybe we won't send her. Maybe we'll send Danielle. No, maybe we won't. We won't send Danielle. No, that's a bad idea. Forget. Strike that. Strike that. Just ignore that back there.
Well, I've noticed this with progressive men, how much they talk about how much they support women until they meet a strong conservative woman. And so this is a pretty consistent type of approach that I've seen, not only from the current Prime Minister, but the former one as well. And the attitude is, sit down and shut up. Well, I don't shut up. I make sure that Albertans know exactly how I feel about issues. And I'm going to continue advocating on behalf of my province, whether he likes it or not.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that over 300 MPs got elected because they stood on a platform to get our resources developed, to work with provinces, to establish economic corridors, and to get our products to market. I think the NDP got crushed, the Greens got crushed, and the Bloc Québécois lost ground because they were opposed to that agenda. And so I would hope that the current Prime Minister understands that his mandate comes from moderate voters who actually want this province to be a genuine energy superpower and the country to be a genuine energy superpower. And so that's why I believe we saw the outcome that we got last night. It wasn't because they doubled down on extremist environmental policies that would crush our industry. It was the opposite. They depicted themselves as wanting to create a new approach, one that would be in sync with what all the provinces are asking for, and that's what I'll be asking the Prime Minister to do. Protecting the reliability and affordability of our electricity is of utmost concern for our government, because this is about protecting the lives and livelihoods of Albertans. And what did the feds tell us, Alberta, when we tried voicing our very real and serious concerns about these regulations. They told us, too bad, we're going to do it anyway. In fact, they refused to work with Alberta or listen to Canadians while developing their net zero electricity regulations. Do they really expect us to just freeze in the dark? Sadly, such uncaring arrogance is typical of this Liberal government. And that is why last November we introduced the first Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act resolution so that our province could take strong and effective action against these destructive regulations. And today we are taking another step to protect Albertans' livelihoods by challenging the constitutionality of the net zero electricity regulations in the Court of Appeal of Alberta, and we look forward to making our case. Alberta will no longer tolerate having our livelihoods threatened, our industries targeted, and our resources landlocked by Ottawa. We will not accept their reckless and dangerous policies that will harm our economy, stifle our energy industry, jeopardize the reliability of our electricity grid, and raise electricity prices for Albertans. Prime Minister Mark Carney must immediately commence working with our government to reset the relationship between Ottawa and Alberta with meaningful action rather than hollow rhetoric. We will not sit by quietly. Albertans expect to be treated with fairness and respect, just like any other province in this country. Our government will not blindly accept unconstitutional net zero regulations that put Albertans in harm's way. We will always stand up and fight for our province, and we will not let Albertans freeze in the dark.
She pledges to get respect from the new Liberal Prime Minister.
Whether or not he, as a leader, is going to be able to change course remains to be seen. He's given some undertakings, but he said different things in different forms to different people in different parts of the country. These regulations set an emission limit that is completely unattainable and would make Alberta's electricity system even more expensive, more than 100 times less reliable than the province's supply adequacy standard. In fact, these regulations have caused so much uncertainty and set such absurd timelines that they've killed any hope of private industry bringing on any new, clean and reliable, unabated natural gas power generation. Alberta currently relies on natural gas for 75% of its power generation. Without adequate natural gas, our province would be at serious risk of regular brownouts and blackouts during the cold dead of winter through the dog days of summer. But these regulations do not just threaten the reliability of Alberta's electrical grid, they also jeopardize its affordability. Costs would increase by $30 billion, raising electricity prices by 35% for hardworking Albertans. For Alberta families, that means that they would have to pay hundreds of dollars more on their electricity bill each year. That money out of their budget to pay for groceries, to fill up their tank, to drive their kids to hockey practice, or even pay the fees for their kids to play the sports that they love to play. For Alberta businesses, this would mean thousands of dollars more in electricity costs. That's less money to pay for their employees, cover their expenses, and grow their business. But the costs of an unreliable power grid are even more grim. If Ottawa had its way, Albertans would be left to freeze in the dark. In the depths of a -40-degree winter cold snap, families would be bundled up in their winter coats while sitting down for dinner, a dinner lit by flashlight or candle as they wait for the rolling blackouts to move on to the next community. There would be no street lights working to light up your way home through the blinding blizzard as you squint to see the dimly lit brake lights of the car ahead of you. In the heat of summer, you would be left worrying if the groceries left in your fridge and freezer will spoil before the blackouts end. And hospitals would be overwhelmed by the influx of patients suffering from heat stroke while trusting that their generators keep the lights on for their life-saving equipment. And if you don't believe me, just look at what happened in Spain and Portugal just a few days ago. Protecting the reliability and affordability of our electricity is of utmost concern for our government because this is about protecting the lives and livelihoods of Albertans. Well, I think Albertans are hurt and betrayed. That's how I think Albertans are feeling. I think Canada as a whole got a sense of that feeling of hurt and betrayal with the way the Americans are treating us right now. But we've been treated that way for the last 10 years. Treated like we should be just shut up and just be satisfied with whatever the central government decides to do, regardless of whether it's constitutional or not. I think that's what you were seeing in this last election. And I think Albertans want to share my view
that we want to be able to have Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada. But we also would like to see Team Canada be on Team Alberta for once.
I support Canada. I would like the Prime Minister to stand up and say that he supports Alberta.